Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a very interesting combination to test out. It's a new shell to the market, and at the time of filming this at least, I think there might be one other video on them that does show that they have some potential to them, but I definitely wanted to pick some up and start testing the couple different versions of it that they have so we can get a really good idea on what these are capable of with the full-on target backing paper and everything. I think there's some potential here, and I definitely think these are going to be a pretty attractive option considering how expensive TSS shells have gotten this year. But for the shells I've got today, I picked up some of the new Verdict Juror shells. A little bit of a tongue twister name to say, especially if you've got an accent like I have, but these are new to the market. Verdict has always been known for their TSS shells, which they do make some pretty solid ones for sure, but these are a lead shell and they are significantly cheaper than the TSS stuff. Now a box of 5 of these is still $25, $27, somewhere right in that range, so not necessarily cheap for a lead shell either, especially when you can get a box of Longbeard XR loads for the same price, and that comes with 10 shells instead of 5. But we'll see if these can match that kind of performance or potentially even get better. But they are a 12 gauge 3-inch 1 3/4 ounce payload of lead 5-shot, moving about 1250 feet per second, so nothing too far out of the normal for a typical lead number 5 turkey load. But we'll see how these perform. They do have a full length wad. They are copper plated, but I have my suspicions that they may not have any buffer material in them. Or if they do, it's not very much, because these shells rattle like a maraca when you shake them. And a good buffered load doesn't normally do that. But we'll just have to put them to the test and see what they're capable of and see if they're worth it over just getting a box of Winchester Longbeard shells. As for the setup we're going to put them through, I brought out my Mossberg 500. It's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and for the choke, I picked up a brand new Jebs here recently. This is a Jebs Head Hunter in 665 constriction. Should be a very nice performing choke out of this 500 and should be a pretty good average baseline for us with that constriction and being a choke that's known to pattern very well. So it should give us a good idea on what these new Verdict Juror loads can actually do. As for today's test, we're running it the same as we always do. I've got the turkey target set up down there at 40 yards and the chrono so we can get our velocity from the shells. So let's get you guys a view of that target. We'll take our shot and we'll see what we can get from these new Verdict Juror lead loads through the Jebs 665. Alright, that shell gave us 1168 through the chrono. Boss claim is 1250, so from our 28-inch barrel with a little bit of choke out of the end, we still did not see that 1250 claim. Of course, high 1100s is perfectly fine for a lead number 5, but it is still notably lower than what they're saying as well. But that doesn't automatically mean they pattern bad, so let's head down there and see what they gave us at 40 through that Mossberg with that Jebs 665. Alright, well, here we are down at our 40-yard paper, and immediately, I'm not really super impressed. And unfortunately, this might have been a little bit expected, because I had question marks coming into it hearing those shells rattle around, and just so you're aware, all of them are the same way. I've got both their 12-gauge versions and their 20-gauge version. All of them do the same thing, because I seriously don't think these have any buffer material in them. But for this pattern, obviously we favor to the left. Usually that shotgun bead is right on the money. However, this is a good example on why I tell you, especially if you're using a red dot or something, zero with the load and choke that you plan to hunt with, because different chokes and different shells can shift their points of impact, and that's definitely what we saw here. This is the first shot we've taken with that choke, and it definitely favored to the left for sure. But that's why we use the backing paper as well, so we can see our full pattern, and it's not really an overly impressive one. Now, do we have a dead bird at 40? Probably so. There's definitely one that hit the spine right there in the center of his neck, and you would have got several more down through the body. So at the very least, that bird would have been crippled enough for you to run up and get him or take another shot or something like that. If we would have centered that pattern up better, we definitely would have had a dead bird for sure. There would have been multiple of them through the head and neck area, and there wouldn't have been anywhere for him to go. So is this a 40-yard capable turkey pattern? Yes, it is. Is it a good 40-yard turkey pattern? Not particularly. If we move over here to the left of that turkey paper where our actual core was, well, as you can see, we don't really have one. There are a couple noticeable voids through that central area, right where the core would be. Kind of a little bit of a hotter zone in the center of the screen, as well as a little bit hotter down here as well. So not perfectly even. It's definitely not tight, and it's really not any different than most of the rest of the pattern either. It just kind of goes into splotchy stuff everywhere else. It's not a condensed spread of pellets at all. So really not nearly as good as what I was hoping to see, that's for sure. They do have a full-length wad, and they are copper plated, which does help, but I think it would do them a lot of justice, especially considering that a box of 5 of these is the same price as a box of Longbird XR shells that give you 10, just to put a little bit of buffer material in them. Now, obviously, this is the first shot we've taken with any of those shells. We can obviously be proven wrong through a different choke or a different shotgun, but to start off with, not overly impressive. But as it stands right now, I kind of put these in the same category as a Remington lead turkey load, to be honest with you. The Remingtons are way cheaper, but they've given us identical patterns to this. So a good enough start for getting turkeys out to 40 yards, but we need to do more testing and see if we can get something better than that, because I would hope we can do better, but who knows? These shells could be a little bit of a dud, and if they are, I'm not going to be afraid to show you guys that they are, because I have no affiliation with Verdict at all. So maybe a little bit of an iffy performance here. Probably going to come down to personal preference overall, I guess. And here is the wad from that shell. Very basic stuff, nothing out of the ordinary here, nothing unusual, no major damage or anything, and the wad looks just fine. But you can see all those little dimples from where the pellets were sitting, and once again, usually if these were buffered, you would see some sort of residue from it down in there, or going up the petals here, you would see some very small, tiny little divots everywhere in between where the pellets were actually sitting from buffer material sitting there as well, and there's no sign of it here. So the wad did about as good as what it could have done, I suppose. Nothing out of the ordinary to see, no major damage I'm concerned with. So these shells might just be a little bit limited in what they can do with how they're loaded. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that result right there? Kind of mediocre to start with, I'll be honest with you. Like I just said a second ago, I have zero affiliation with Verdict at all. So if these shells are a dud, or they're not worth it, or if this was an outlier and there's inconsistencies or anything with them, I'm not afraid to show you guys and tell you guys about it, because I have no skin in the game here. So far, based on this one particular test, which isn't a full sample size, it's just one test with one choke and one shotgun, I'm not overly impressed, and I probably wouldn't go out of my way to get these shells. I would much rather just have a load of Winchester Longbird XRs right off the shelf at Walmart. But we can always be proven wrong, find the right setup, maybe a little more choke, maybe a different choke and a different shotgun might be the key. Maybe the 12 gauge 3.5 inch shells, or the 20 gauge version is way better than these. We don't know yet. These are a brand new shell to the market. This is the first test I've done with them, and there's not a whole lot of other information out there on them either yet. So we're going to be doing some more testing. I have all 3 variations that they currently make, so we're going to figure out if these are good, or if they're a little particular with what they like, or if they're just not really worth the time or the money. They are way cheaper than a TSS load is this year, obviously. So for some people, that might be good enough to get them by until maybe TSS prices come back down. For other people, they're probably going to be in about the same boat that I am, where there's the same or better options out there for cheaper price already available right on the store shelf. But you can let me know what you think about it down below. Is that a combo you would hunt with? Is it a little too broad for you? A little too splotchy for you? Or is that the kind of pattern you're looking for? If you prefer a little more leeway? Or are you just going to be okay with that to be able to get by until maybe TSS prices come down? Or are you a little disappointed in it as well, and you probably wouldn't go after that shell based on that result anyway? And maybe what other combos do you want to see us run these shells through? I've got all 3 variations, so if there's a combo you want to see, then leave all your thoughts down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox. You can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.